Hari Om. In chapter 18, the very first question asked by Arjun is, in the first verse, Arjuna uvacha sanyasasya mahabaho tvamichhami veditum tyagasya cha hrishikesha prithakkeshi nishudanaha. Hey Krishna, please tell me the secret of renunciation. He wants to know because when we are completing Bhagavad Gita, it will naturally zero in on the main topic, the very core of Gita, and so it will, and that is renunciation, detachment. That's the very core of it. And so Arjun says once again, Krishna, can you tell me the very secret, the essence, not the secret, tattva, the essence of renunciation? And therefore, Bhagwan, of course, he knows that there are so many things to give up. You can renounce so many things in the material world, etc., etc. But since we are human beings with a body, mind and intellect, and with this body, mind and intellect interacting with the sansar of objects and people and situations, in all these situations, all that we have to do in the interaction is action. So, Bhagwan says, Arjun, please understand action, karma. You cannot give up karma if you are living in the sansar. But, yes, there is one thing you can give up, and that is karma phala. So, and what is the whole purpose? Even Arjun's question, when he asks, well, tell me the tattva, the essence of renunciation, he is treating renunciation as a means, as a vehicle for what? Renunciation as a means towards moksha, complete freedom. That is his question. And Bhagwan has come to Karma Yoga because it is in karma where is hidden our ability to go towards complete freedom, because we are involved in so much of action by mind and body and speech all the time. And there is hidden the very secret, the very essence of our own freedom. Therefore, Bhagwan talks of Karma Yoga as he begins to answer Arjun. And in the 6th verse of chapter 18, we saw Bhagwan has said, Etan yapitu karmani sangam tyaktva phalani cha kartavyani time partha nishchitam mattamottamam. Understand this, Arjun, that it is the attachment to the fruits of all your action that is the highest kind of sangam tyaktva, is the highest kind of tyag or renunciation. Okay, so having talked of now from renunciation to karma phal renunciation, see the connection. Now how will that help me towards moksha? So we proceed with the chapter to see a detailed analysis by Krishna about how this roadmap will pan out for Arjun and for us. Now, in chapter 18, verse number 10, Bhagwan had said, we haven't come to chapter 18, number 10. 10th verse we are going to read. But before that, can we just recap for a few minutes what were the basic principles of karma phala? The basic principles of karma phala that we saw are that phala will accrue to us if we are acting out of ahamta, mera action hai aur mere liye hai, and mamata, mere liye. Otherwise it is just a kriya. Rule number 1. Rule number 2, the phala will come in so many ways. In the immediate material form, I will get a result and easily I will see that there is some result out there in the world, sthula result. Okay, so I have worked very hard to build a house, and the house over there is a sthula result. But I built it with a sense of greed and avarice and a kind of one-upmanship and arrogance, and that phala will go to my sukshma. It is the manner in which my mind works. Now my mind is filled with avarice and greed and passion. That is the sukshma result. Sukshma, subtle, hidden result in my mind, and that is how it's So people can see the house that I've built is very beautiful and it's very magnificent. People can see only that. No one can see the Sukshma result unless he's a psychiatrist. He can, but the one who is acting can easily see that, oh, in making that house, I was filled with so much, and I had to say lies to so many people. I had to undercut the pricing of so many people, and yes, it took a lot of unethical action for me to get to this place, and that is my Sukshma result. The quality of my mind is not Shuddha, right? And just today in the paper there was a very unfortunate piece of news about one builder who was actually murdered. Killed by whom? By his own bricklayer, the one who was not bricks but he was laying tiles. So he laid tiles and he had completed the mansion or the building, whatever, and the money that he owed, the builder owed to the tile layer, was about 2.5 lakhs, which he refused to give. And he persuaded him and begged him, but for several months when it didn't happen, finally this man got murdered. Now, this is actually, we are seeing some pretty bad results of our own actions. Why did he have to act out of so much greed and passion? That is the builder. But Krishna's main message, we should not forget, is that there is an even more invisible reservoir of our karma phal, where the karma phal is sangraha, is collected, and it will manifest in the future lives, and that goes in the seed form or sanskar form or karan sharir, whatever you call it. Sanskar is the easiest to understand. Okay, so one of the main principles of karma phala is that we see the sthul result, the outward result, quite easy. We don't see the Sukshma result unless we are very contemplative and reflective people and say, hey, what is happening to my mind? Why am I acting out of anger and restlessness? Okay, I'm building a mansion or setting up a new business or starting a new family or applying for a new job or hoping that my sons and daughters get good positions. But the result in my mind is restlessness and passion and desire and comparison. That is a Sukshma result which I can see only if I am contemplative. Even more Sukshma, even more subtle is the Karan, and that is the Sanskar which is being built in me. The Sanskar which will give me the Prarabdha in my new life. Prarabdha is what will be ready for fruition, which means the situations and circumstances that will appear to me in the future life. Once I know that there are so many hidden layers of karma phal, then I'll stop looking at only the outer result and say, I'm successful, I'm unsuccessful. No, there are much deeper repercussions. And in these layers lies the secret of my own moksha or complete freedom. Complete freedom from Janma and Maran. This is the basic principle we have understood so far. Now, Bhagavan has also given us a lot of tips how to break this cycle. He said, yes, you can't be without karma. Of course you have to do karma. Everyone has to, because we have a body, mind, intellect and a sansar and outward situations and roles to play. You cannot escape it. In fact, that is escapism or tamasic tyag. Now, how to do this action? Just a small reminder, Bhagavan says, just do yajna, tap and dan. Now, yajna, we have understood, it means that put all your effort, 100%, but without this hankering and craving कि इसका result मुझे ही चाहिए. So all my samarthya and shakti can be devoted 100% and the phal offered to providence, offered to Bhagwan, and we leave it there. That is a kind of yajna, 100%. And tap, of course, is all the effort that I want to put into understanding and working on my own spiritual growth. And spiritual growth towards what? Towards moksha only, na? But all my effort today in the world is for what? Is for my own sukha bhog. That I want sukha and happiness and joy from the sansari objects and people and relationships and new conditions in the world. So my effort is going into all this. But when the effort goes into understanding What is the basis? What is the very root of my sorrow? How can I be free from Janma Maran and sorrow, which is connected? That is tapa. That is the right effort. And dan, of course, is can we act as much as possible in a selfless way? Because all that we have been given, the situations and the resources are from Prakriti. They are not mine. मेरा नहीं, इसलिए उसका फल भी मेरा नहीं होगा. This link between the resources I have been bestowed by very kind prarabdha or providence are not my resources, including my body, mind, intellect, and the things and the dhan that I say that I have earned this money and it's mine. All the resources are bestowed upon me, and therefore when I act using these resources, the phal is also not mine. When I understand this link, then there is vivek. Vivek means I understand as a jnani, oh, I am attached to the wrong things. Now Bhagavan says, what are the best ways to renounce this link and this attachment that I have to my own karma and therefore to my own karma phala also. Okay. Now, Bhagavan goes on to explain in detail, going forward from verse number 10. Verse number 10. Na dveshtya kushalam karma kushalena nushajyate. Arjun, can you do action, any action that is given to you, that has come to you as a duty and it faces you, can you please do it without thinking of it as I like to do it and I don't like to do it. I am averse to it. It is too disagreeable to me. Oh, I will do this. This is more agreeable to me. Can you put this out of your mind? Disagreeable and agreeable work कुछ होता ही नहीं. वो हमारे मन का फितूर है. I like, I don't like, etc. So, न द्वेष्ट कुशलम, न द्वेष्ट है, न कुशलम है. कर्म कुशलेना अनुषज्यते, complete the task unattached. त्यागी सत्व समाविष्टः मेधावी छिन्न संशयः. Then you will gain what? Sattva samavishtaha. You will be pervaded by purity. When we say purity, first we have to understand what is impurity. Impurity simply means that I have attached my aham. Aham karoti means, in Sanskrit it means I am the doer, and therefore I deserve the phala. Not only do I deserve the phala, but I deserve the phala that I imagine, that I desire. I deserve and desire. I need that result. Now this aham has been attached to me, and that aham is not free of desire, kama, and krodha, and anger, and avarice, and greed, and chinta, and worries, and frustration. It is not free, and this is all the ashuddhi. Bhagavan is saying, ye sab ashuddhi sattva mavishtah. You will be pervaded by purity, sattva, only if you drop this notion that this work is agreeable, that is not agreeable, this is disagreeable, that is not disagreeable. I am not going to choose. It has been presented to you out of prarabdha, out of necessity, that somebody in the world requires you to do it, so you jolly well do it. I may jolly well do it. No one will know the difference between my action which I have done willingly and the action that I have done reluctantly, grudgingly and bitterly. But Bhagavan will know. Prarabdha will know. My sanskar which I am building for the future, remember sanskar is the most sukshma of all. That sanskar will note down, will log in. अच्छा, इन्होंने काम कर दिया है, disagreeable काम, लेकिन इन्होंने बहुत bitterly, grudgingly और they have done it with reluctance. तो ये संस्कार में दर्ज हो गया. Now I cannot escape my sanskar next time. So just doing action and not doing outwardly also doesn't make a difference. But still, Bhagavan says, do work which is required of you without making this distinction. This is the true sattvic way of behaving. But what is the result? The result will be that you will be medhavi. A very beautiful word used in the second line. Medhavi, a very intelligent or wise person. Why? Because then in your wisdom, whatever the result of that action, you will neither exult in joy and become arrogant about the success of it, nor be overwhelmed by sorrow or dejection if it doesn't work for you. Okay, it may not work for you, but that's the way it was meant to be. You gave your 100%, so you feel happy about it. But every human being who is listening to Krishna, and even Arjun maybe, the doubt always will come to the mind that देखिए भगवान, likes and dislikes तो रहते ही हैं, they are inherent in me. अब वो inherent हो गए हैं तो मैं क्या करूं? So one of the Swamis used to say, हाँ ठीक है, at least recognize कि you are approaching some task with a sense of disagreeability कि मुझे ये नहीं करना है, I really hate it, or although it is required of you as a duty right now, like Arjuna is facing the battle, and at that moment he finds his task extremely disagreeable. Similarly, in life we may be faced when it comes to certain responsibilities or tasks or certain demands, let's say, that we have of our extended families and relatives, or job situation or society or nation, that is required of me, but I am completely averse to it. I don't wish to do it. Like Arjun, Bhagwan says no. When you recognize that there is dislike which is rising in my mind, use your vivek, be medhavi to understand, is it going to be for the larger good? Am I going to benefit, is it going to bring welfare to someone other than me that I'm looking for? If so, if it is for the larger good, go ahead and do it, and tell your dislike, sorry, I don't give you permission to invade my mind. Simple. Who can do that? Only I can do it. There is no guru, there is no shastra, there is no granth which can actually slice this aham or this like and dislike in me from outside. It is so sukshma. It is so sukshma. It is lying embedded in the sukshmataram sanskar. It is lying very deep in the sanskar, and I can slice it only from within. And so I can say, first recognize it. I need sukshma buddhi for that, to recognize, and then say, oops, sorry, you don't have permission to invade my mind. You meaning that disagreeability, that dislike, that aversion, that rag and dvesha. No, I don't give you permission. Why? Because this rag and dvesha is, Bhagwan has explained elsewhere before, are the very highways of your own destruction. They are the highway robbers, in fact, because this rag and dvesh, which creates anger and passion. You see, if I didn't have any like or dislike, why would I be angry, or why would I be frustrated, or why would I be overwhelmed with joy and exultation? Neither of these will affect me. I would be samabuddhihi. Therefore, this raga and dvesha, things that I like to do and do not like to do, keep it away from you, because they are the highway robbers. They create anger and passion and greed. And what is the self-test? Self-test is when we are living in a chetan avastha, that is aware. Self-awareness is not granted to anyone except human beings. There is no other object or creature. Objects के पास तो awareness है ही नहीं. Other creatures who can be self-aware. अरे मैं ये क्या कर रहा हूँ? Self-questioning. No other creature can do it. Only a human being. So only a human being can run through a self-test to say, okay, I can see anger or dislike or passion or a kind of strong, let's say, dislike arising about some work, some karma, and I can choose to say, okay, I'm doing it, but I'm not letting my mind and intellect involve in it. I'm doing it because it's required. It's the engine which requires to run, and the car has to jolly well run on it. But who is the decision maker? The driver. I am the driver of my vehicle. I don't let the engine decide कि आपको चलना है कि नहीं चलना है. No. The engine doesn't decide. But very often we let the mind and intellect do make our decisions for us. चलना है कि नहीं चलना है. And the mind says, अरे नहीं, ये तो बहुत बुरे, ये काम मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगता, या मुझे in fact sometimes I say it's uncomfortable for me, or it's too much effort यार, ये हम इस relative को या उस इंसान की क्यों मदद करें, it's too much effort. Now that is a very Rajasic way of living. Now Bhagwan is saying, no, you are the driver of your car, please take control and know that you will make the decision, you will give permission to likes and dislikes, or you will not give permission to likes and dislikes to run the car, because finally that car is going to take you to your destination. The engine is not even desiring a destination. Man or buddhi itne jad hain, jad, that is gross elements, that they don't have their own destination. Yani ki they're not saying mujhe moksha chahiye. Are, they are just matter. It's the driver who says, no, I need my destination. And that is freedom from Janma Maran, and therefore from Dukkha. Because every Janma brings its own Janma Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, the whole chain of sorrows and joys. I know that. The engine doesn't know it. The car doesn't know it. Car is the body. But I allow the body and the mind and the intellect to decide ki acha, these are such beautiful things. And my Deha wants a lot of comfort and luxuries and beautiful fragrances and the sense of touch and the pleasure of touch and sound and sight. Who is demanding it? My body. Because the sense of touch and sound and sight and etc. are with the body. So the demander is the body. I am the driver and I am not even demanding it. But I am telling, I have associated myself with the body and I say, if the body is demanding these beautiful things, maybe it's my demand too. Big mistake. Big mistake. It's not my demand. I am different. I am different from the body and the mind and the intellect. Bhagavan is going to explain this a little further. Even in my actions, I can see the actions of the body and the mind and the intellect. So I must be the seer. I must be the witness. I must be the Sakshi standing apart. It stands to reason. If I am not the Sakshi standing apart, how in heaven can I see the actions and reactions of my body, the demands of my body, कि मुझे sense of pleasure and sense of touch and sight and sound, ये सब demands मुझे कहाँ दिख रहे हैं? किसको दिख रहे हैं? किसको? That is me. I am the driver. I am the Sakshi standing apart. I am not the body and mind. Bhagavan says, if you don't allow yourself to be involved in the likes and dislikes, it's not the tires in the car which say, oh, I think this road is pretty bad, I'm not going to take this road. The mind always will say, this road is very tough towards moksha. इतना कौन सुनेगा? 18 अध्याय, उसके बाद इतने सारे उपनिषद, फिर गुरु ग्रंथ तो बहुत हैं, कब तक हम इसका अध्ययन करते रहेंगे? It's a very tough road. Tire cannot decide that. If the driver is Dridha Nishchaya means determined. I need my goal. मुझे मंजिल पता चल गई है. Gurus have told me what is my manzil. Bhagwan Krishna has told me my manzil is moksha and freedom. Then why should I not head for that manzil? There's no reason why we should be deterred from our own manzil. As long as I'm Dridha Nishchaya. Bhagwan says, sorry, just tell the body, mind, intellect, I do not give you permission to take the decisions about Dveshya Kushalam Karma, Kushalena Anushajyate, like whether I like to do it or not. And therefore, I will not become the victim of my own likes and dislikes. That is the exact position in which Arjuna is standing right now at Kurukshetra. I don't like to do this. This will bring me sorrow. That will bring me sorrow. Can I take any action? Bhagavan says that itself is, you have to first ask whether it's your duty, whether it is required of you, whether it is for the larger good. Yes, of course. Hastinapur and Indraprastha both will have a very just and wonderful king in you. They will not have an unjust and cruel king in Duryodhan. It is for the larger good of the praja, of this nation, of these kingdoms. So also in our lives. We have relatives and friends and people, and our responsibility is not only towards those whom we know and love and who support us, even those who are in the larger society and who are underprivileged and whom I don't know maybe, and there's a request that comes on WhatsApp, somebody is in dire need of blood donation or a wheelchair or some such thing required. I don't wish to know who it is. If I have it, I come from a position of abundance and I offer it and forget about it. Bhagwan is saying, can you act like that? If it is for the welfare, just jolly well do it. I cannot say, I'm going to do it if I like that person. Like I did give the example of during COVID, I came across some people who said, oh, that house help or that driver or that car cleaner, he did not serve me very well. He was actually very rude and not very conscientious in his work or her work, and therefore I am not going to support them throughout the corona times. Although this was a global calamity and we were expected to support everyone who had worked under us. That was the expectation from us. Now how did we bring likes and dislikes in this? कि हम भैया 3 महीना आपको सपोर्ट करेंगे या 6 महीना करेंगे, and then I have no responsibility because you have not been very conscientious in your work. That person, we cannot expect very high standards of value from other people, especially those who have not had the privilege of high education and refinement like we have had. We expect the same standards of ethical behavior from them. Why? Did they get the same education and circumstances as we did? We didn't. But we compare our ethical standards and say, वो उसने क्यों मुझे झूठ बोला? अरे, but the circumstances and the personalities, of course, are not the same. So guna is not the same. But right now, you don't even need to ask all that. Is it required of us? Is it your duty? Jolly well do it. न द्वेष्टि न कांक्षति, न मेरे पास expectations है किसी से, न मुझे उससे कोई द्वेष है. But it's required, I have to do it. So Arjun, go ahead and battle. Now Bhagwan says this is the way you can be medhavi. Medhavi and chinna samshaya. Beautiful word. Chinna samshaya. Samshaya, doubts. You will have no doubts about karna hai, nahi karna hai, kim kartavya vimud. No dilemmas will be there for you because you are very clear. No conflict at all. It's my duty. It's for the welfare of something required of me. I have the capacity, the samarthya, all the resources in abundance to offer it right now to whoever, and I will do it. This is the only consideration. If you do that, there's no conflict in the mind. अरे हमने उनको 1 लाख रुपया दिया था और वो चाचा के भतीजे के वाइफ की बच्चे को, और उसने जब मुझसे बात करता है तो वो वापस he never talks about returning the loan. Okay, ठीक है, he doesn't talk about it. He has some difficulty or he has no ethical values. Leave it. When he most required it, उसका घर mortgage हुआ था and it was actually maybe going back to the bank or whatever, at that moment you stood by him and you gave your 5 lakhs or 10 lakhs. That is most important. अब वो नहीं दे रहा है, मैं 10 साल से या 5 साल से I'm cribbing and crying to everyone about it. That will neutralize the good effort. I'm just giving modern examples of the conflict that Arjun has, and we have different kinds of conflict. Bhagwan says, when you are very clear about why you are doing the action, when it's required of you, chinna samshaya, you will have no samshaya, no conflict. You will be unfettered by your own conflicted mind. You are going to be free. That freedom and happiness is your right. So claim it. And so the average man, Arjun is also in that place, an average man says, देखो मेरे पास ये मन बुद्धि है और मेरे पास ये बॉडी है, मैं अपने रिसोर्सेज, ये मेरे रिसोर्सेज हैं, मुझे दिए गए हैं और ये रिसोर्सेज आई एम यूजिंग इट, एंड देयरफॉर व्हाट्स इन इट फॉर मी इफ आई यूज दिस रिसोर्स टू डू एनी एक्शन, व्हाट्स इन इट फॉर मी, मुझे क्या मिलेगा. द मोमेंट आई आस्क दैट, not trusting Bhagwan, not trusting the karmic principle, not trusting prarabdha principle, that whatever will come will as most deserved by us, and when most deserved by us, it will be there, and if not deserved, it will not be there. Leave it. Leave the chinta of the mind. If I trust that principle, then I am not buffeted and battered by this constant worry and chinta and conflict in the mind कि मुझे ये मिलेगा कि नहीं, कब मिलेगा, इतने that doesn't come. It comes from demand only. Yes, I'm acting with my resources, but the result is not in my hands. ये कर्म फल और कर्म योग का सिद्धांत Bhagwan has taken the whole chapter 3 and several verses in chapter 2 to talk about it. He winds up the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita in chapter 18 with this very, very important knowledge. Because it is here at this point of Karma Yoga that we can begin our journey of becoming unfettered and free of our own chains. And therefore he comes back to this. Going forward, Bhagwan has a few more explanations. He says in verse number 11, Nahi deha bhrita shakyam tyaktum karmanya sheshataha. You know that you have a body, and because the body, I'm considering it as with the mind and intellect, an embodied person cannot abandon action. That we have seen many times. How can action has to be done? Yastu karma phalatyagi. But I have the freedom to relinquish or to give up phala, karma phal. Karma phalatyagi satyagitya And such a relinquisher, the one who can give up the phala, is the only one who deserves to be called a true tyagi. Satyagitya bhidhiyate. Karma phal, that is my expectations from my own karma. That is the true tyagi, is the only one who does not give up karma but gives up only karma phala. Of course I cannot give up karma. I cannot do without action at all in this world. But karma phal ki ichha, yes, that I can give up. Now, what is this giving up of ichha? Is it an outer action? Of course not. I cannot do any outer action to say मैंने कर्म फल की इच्छा त्याग दी. That tyag is happening in the mind. It's an inner movement. It's not an outer action. But all my karma is outer action, remember. And therefore we are expecting all the phal also to be shown to us in the outer world. No, it doesn't work like that. A lot of phal is lying like the iceberg below the surface. Now, Bhagwan, what is man's tendency? Man's tendency is, I cannot do karma phal tyag because aham karoti, I am. That aham word, it is causing the biggest impediment and obstacle in our journey. Okay. Because the moment I say man buddhi, usme ahankar juda hua hai, because that's an imaginary I. That I has no astitva. It doesn't have an identity. When you will say, मेरा तो नाम है, मेरी शोहरत भी है, मेरा स्थान भी है, and कुल है, and गोत्र है, and religion है, मैं तो ये हूँ. That I is the sansari one which is here just for a few years. It is temporary. So can I say that my temporary post in this world, so suppose there was a vacancy in my company and the manager went away for some time and I was the acting manager. Now that acting manager I can attach to my life throughout my life, and if anybody asks me, even on my deathbed, aap kaun hai? I will say I am the manager of such company. We don't attach such upadhi to our identity. In the same way, because that managership was a temporary piece of work I had to do. It was required at that time. In the same way, the body and my naam and my shohrat and the appearance and the prettiness and all that I have right now, and the possessions, of course, with which we seem to identify, are here as a temporary piece of attachment. Yes, I am attached to it. It's temporarily attached to me. Therefore, that I, aham, goes where when we are dead? All my beauty and youth and energy and possessions and relatives and spouses and children and everything is given up when I am dead. So I goes where? Because मैं तो कहता था मैं यही हूँ, फला फला का हस्बैंड हूँ मैं, फला फला के मैं पिता हूँ, So when I identified with these things, all these things are gone anyway, that I goes where? अरे after death also it goes nowhere, because वो था ही नहीं. That I is an imaginary thing created in the mind. It's an outcome of the mind, outcrop of the mind, of the intellect, कि ये मैं हूँ, that aham. It's an imaginary thing and it's a temporary thing. तो यह शरीर मेरा है. कभी कभी तो हम ये कहते हैं कि ये शरीर ही मैं हूँ. That is worse. ये शरीर मेरा है जब तक हम कहते हैं अच्छा ठीक है थोड़ा अटैचमेंट है. अरे ये शरीर मैं हूँ. That is the level of attachment of many people. Now, this Medhavi word or the real Tyagi, Bhagavan has used two words, saying you want to be Medhavi, that is a real wise person, or a real Tyagi, two words he has used. Then remember, there is a simple logic. The simple logic is, if you want to be Buddhiman or true Medhavi, then remember that all this samagri, your the energy and the outer resources and the body and an able body and a sound mind with which we are doing karma in this world, they are all resources which have come from Prakriti, from nature. In fact, they are nature, they are Prakriti. So if my heart is pumping blood and is giving me energy, and that energy is giving me the power to think or to meditate or to speak or to listen or read Shastra, all that is Prakriti. That very heart which is pumping blood is just a piece of matter. So everything, all my resources are from where? बुद्धिमानी इसी में है कि समझ लो कि जिस सामग्री से हम इस कर्म कर रहे हैं, accomplishing this and that, मैं नहीं किया है, वो सब प्रकृति का दिया हुआ है. Secondly, we should remember that जो भी कर्म हम कर रहे हैं, हर कर्म का एक आदि एक अंत है. It has a beginning and it has an end. Every piece of work that we do. Think about it. मैं ये कर रहा हूँ, मैं वो कर रहा हूँ, मैंने वो समाप्त कर दिया, मैंने ये accomplish कर लिया. Beginning and end is for karma. But what about me? I still have my entity. I am Swayam. I am that Swayam who is Sada Nirvikar. I did not change with every karma. Yes, my buddhi changed. I became arrogant because I became successful, or I became dejected and I became depressive, manic because something didn't work for me or my family was shattered. Yes, it happened in the buddhi. But I as the Atma did not become vikari, that is modified or changed in any way with any action in the world. That Swayam and Atma was still with me the way it is. And so remember, karma changes, my outer resources change, everything changes, but I, the Atma, cannot change, and that is my true self. ये विवेक जब आ जाए ना, विवेक, what is temporary and what is not, that belief कि मैं वो कर्म नहीं हूँ, मैं कर्म का कर्ता भी फिर नहीं हूँ, then with that vivek, it's easy to do phal ichha tyag. Phal ichha tyag, that Bhagavan says, yastu karma phala tyagi. Karma phal ka tyag karo. Karma phal ke tyagi bano. Then it's easy. Otherwise, Bhagavan will keep on saying from the rooftop. For 6,000 years, this literature has been with us. How many people do we see having changed, transformed their lives? So it takes a lot of effort and constant mananam, contemplation in action. Not after the action when it's over. Even that helps actually. Reflection on our action and reflection in action while I'm doing it also. But human birth is the only opportunity we have. Bottom line is that ये विवेक जो है ना कि अरे कर्म भी जन्मता है और खत्म होता है, ये मेरे बॉडी भी जन्मती है और खत्म होती है, लेकिन मैं स्वयं हो निर्विकार हूँ और मैं निरंतर चलता रहता हूँ. ये विवेक, टेल मी इन विच बर्थ वी कैन अंडरस्टैंड दिस विवेक, दिस डिस्टिंक्शन. इन विच फॉर्म कैन वी अंडरस्टैंड दिस distinction? In no other form except in Manushya form. This is the only opportunity right now. There is no other opportunity that God or Prakriti or the universe has offered to us. कि अच्छा ठीक है, अब ये व्यर्थ हो गई, ये लाइफ वेस्ट हो गई, चलो अगली बार पहाड़ बन जाएंगे, पहाड़ जब बनेंगे तो for centuries I will sit and contemplate in one place. Yeah, it's a nice thing to be a pahad and contemplate and be in one place and very sthir and very very steady in one place for years and centuries. Very nice, but no capacity to have self knowledge. Pahad hasn't been given that capacity. Itni kripa to hai hi nahi. Only kripa given is to Manushya, and a very chanchal man along with that. Ki lo, now I have made your job tough. You had the opportunity to have self-knowledge and to go towards moksha, but along with that, I have been given a very chanchal man. Chanchal means restless and frisky mind, and a desirous intellect. Ye chahiye, wo chahiye, and a demanding body. All the senses are going out. Okay, so this is the challenge level of being a Manushya, but also the opportunity. After death, when I die, what are the kinds of karma phala that I can expect? What kind? Bhagavan says in verse number 12. He says, Anishtamishtam mishram cha trividham karmana phalam. Of course, anisht bhi hoga. Ishtam bhi hoga. Ishtam means what I like. अच्छा, बहुत अच्छे फल मिले हैं मुझे. इष्टम, शुभ फल. अनिष्टम, ओ अशुभ फल. और दोनों का मिश्रण भी मिलेगा. अनिष्टम इष्टम मिश्रम च, दोनों मिले जुले फल. एंड मोस्ट ऑफ अस वी सी इन आवर लाइफ इट इज ओनली मिले जुले फल जो हमको मिलते हैं. कभी अनिष्ट होता है, कभी मेरे मन का होता है, कभी मन का नहीं होता है. त्रिविधम, तो ये त्रिविधम, तीन तरह के फल, एक्शन, कर्मणा फलम, कर्म के फल हमको मिलते हैं. भवत्यत्यागिनां प्रेत्य न तो संन्यासिनां क्वचित्. बट these kind of phal come only to those people who do not have the spirit of abandonment. कि कर्म फल हमने त्याग दिया, छोड़ दिया, अब हमको कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. जब फर्क नहीं पड़ता तभी हम समबुद्धि होंगे. अदरवाइज व्हाट हैपेंस, इष्टम फल, हाँ वेरी नाइस, शुभ फल हमारे मन के अनुकूल हो गया है, एंड दैट हैज ब्रॉट मी सुख, सो आई एम वेरी सुखी, आई लाइक इट, यस, देन आई गेट अटैच्ड. एंड ऑपोजिट ऑफ इट अनिष्टम, अनिष्टम इष्टम, अनिष्ट फल अशुभ फल हो गया, आई डोंट लाइक इट, आई डिसलाइक दिस, it's causing me a lot of discomfort and sorrow and hurt and disappointment. I don't like it. Now that like and dislike is causing the conflict in my mind. If my mind did not conflict itself with the likes and dislike of ishtam phal, anishtam phal, I would be okay with both. It requires a high level of tyagi to be able to say, okay, I may have done something sometime to someone, and therefore it is becoming phalit, taking fruit right now in some form. I have no way of going back into my previous thousands of lives to be able to see a direct cause and effect. मैंने ये किया, मुझे ये फल मिला. There is no direct cause and effect. The cause and effect traverses over thousands of lives. Who can have this view of all the lives? Only Krishna. Or this cosmic principle, or the principle of consciousness, whatever you call it. Bhagwan, Allah, God, doesn't matter what the name is, but that principle can see. We cannot see. Since we cannot see, we are forever rejecting the pratikul phal. Oh, I don't like this phal. And we are forever trying to embrace and demand phala, results which I like. This I like and I dislike and I want and I don't want. Raga dvesh is the only basis of our complete conflict and restlessness of the mind. Can a restless mind ever know shuddhi, purity, calm, equanimity and silence to reach that highest sukshma? Bhagavan says your karma is directed by the quality of your mind, and therefore that moksha remains a far cry for you, for all of us. Now this karma phal of course is coming to me from years, millions of years of sanskar which I have collected. Sanskar, we have said what? all our actions and thoughts and our behavior bundled together and practiced over a period of time as a habitual action becomes crystallized as our sanskar. Deep impression, which carries over. The other word for this carry over sanskar is vasana. So that sanskar is invisible. It's invisible. Now how am I going to attack it unless I become aware of it? What is making me act? That sanskar is making me act. And something invisible is driving me to action, and I don't even know what that invisible action is. And I think that I am doing the action. So when it is driving you as an invisible form from some time in the past, hoary past, far, far away, it becomes a very prabal pusher of your action. Very prabal meaning strong. So strong that even when we say that I don't wish to do this and I still lose my temper or fall into greed or feel hurt, if somebody has ignored me or not given me an invitation to their to-do party or some kind of I am hurt. I carry this hurt. I carry a lot of this baggage of my mind because I'm not aware of where it's coming from. My actions are coming from my Purva Sanskar. So this Purva Sanskar has got a lot of branches. It's like a very old banyan tree, which Bhagavan has said in the 15th chapter. Adhasya mulanya santatani. Adhasya mulanya, so many roots. It's got deep roots going out deep into the earth, like the banyan tree. The comparison given was the banyan tree in the 15th chapter. And that deep root, can you see? We cannot see above the earth how deep the roots go and how far they go and how they are actually sustaining the banyan tree. That's how our actions are being sustained, and we can't see the mover of our action, which is our Purva Sanskar. So we see only the tatkalik results, that is the immediate results, or at the most we say, acha haan, kalantarik result hai. This may be the result of some action I have done in the past. Okay. What are the simple laws to be remembered? The law to be remembered is all our karma is coming from man and buddhi and indriya. These are at the gross level. And law number 2 is that this gross level is only prakriti. It's matter level. It doesn't have sentiency. It cannot be self-aware. If these 2 laws we remember, then it will be easy for us to remember that the third law, which says, as a human, I have control over transforming something. Transforming something so that I am not in a repeated cycle of this over and over and over again. Okay, so that's another human law. And why human law of karma? Because only humans can transform their karmic destiny. Okay. So what is giving us Anishta and Ishta Phal? To wrap up, Anishta and Ishta Phal, that is phal, fruit which we like or do not like, it is coming from good action or bad action that we may have done in the past. That's okay. But one very important thing to remember is this phala, whatever it is, ishta or anishta, is it compelling us to be sukhi or dukhi? Think about it. We say, अनिष्ट है तो दुखी होते हैं और इष्ट फल मिल जाए, things which I love, then I am sukhi. But the question being asked is this phal by itself compelling us to be sukhi or dukhi? That's where our key to freedom lies. No, it's not compelling us. It is itself very jad. I can break that connection between anishta and ishta and sukha dukha, which I have created that connection. Nothing is compelling me. The phal is not compelling me, acha sukhi ho ya dukhi ho. I am choosing to be sukhi or dukhi. Nothing can compel me. Therefore, the action of Sukha Dukha is an inward action that can be sliced not by reading hundreds of scriptures from outside, listening to gurus and granth and shastra and rishi. It's all outward action. No one can from outside slice that aham which says ki mujhe, I am the demander. So the demander of a sansari person says कि मुझे अपने ईगो को satisfy करने के लिए ये करना है या वो करना है. And a sannyasi says कि अरे मुझे शांति चाहिए, मुझे भी सुख शांति चाहिए, लेकिन I am going to destroy the very root of that demander itself, that ego. वो रूट ईगो को ही हम डिस्ट्रॉय कर देंगे. और सन्यासी कहता है मुझे सुख और शांति जब मिलेगी जब मेरी ईगो के जो इतने डिमांड्स हैं ना, अहम के डिमांड्स, वो सेटिस्फाइड होते जाएं तो मैं सुखी रहूंगा. वन इज एक्टिंग आउटवर्ड, द अदर इज एक्टिंग एट द रूट ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम, इनवर्ड. वन इज गोइंग आउट, द अदर इज गोइंग इनवर्ड. Sansari and sannyasi. Why am I using the word sannyasi? Again, it should not put us off to say, oh, this knowledge is not for me. Sannyasi is a simple word being used because Arjuna has also used the word renunciate to say, tell me about the secret of Tyagasya cha Rishikesha. Rishikesh, tell me about Tyag. And therefore, going inward or outward is my choice. And my Buddhimani is knowing where the problem lies, outside or inside, Medhavi. But sanskar, we have already said sanskar is so prabal and so strong that it is in a vicious cycle. The vicious cycle is that in the proportion that I have a desire, in the same proportion I have to do action to fulfill that desire. In the same proportion that I do action, I get काम, क्रोध, desire, anger, चिंता उसी proportion में आती है. और जितने proportion में ये चिंता और क्रोध आता है, उसी proportion में संस्कार बनता जाता है. अरे, but the action came from my इच्छा, the इच्छा came from my sanskar. Where is the break in the cycle? And this whole cycle in which we seem to be caught, the vicious cycle, is called Anartha Parampara by one of the Swamis, who is also quoting from the Veda. Anartha Parampara. Parampara means it's a cycle and we are caught in it. So I'm going to end with a story to say, can we break this cycle? Okay. So this story goes back to Swami Eknath. Eknath had a son-in-law, Mohan, who had this very bad sanskar. He couldn't help it. It was compelling him. You know, our sanskar compels us to like certain things, to go towards reading or to go towards socializing or go towards gossip or shopping or too much of sansar की इच्छा, too much of लोक इच्छा कि लोग मुझे appreciate करे, too much comparison. ये मेरे संस्कार मुझे push कर रहे हैं. Some people don't bother about it. जैसे भाई मुझे रहने दो, मैं खुश हूँ, मुझे just let me read. उनके संस्कार उनको push कर रहे हैं. This Mohan boy, Eknath's son-in-law, was pushed by a sanskar which made him do some very bad things. He couldn't help it. He used to every evening, although he was married, would go every evening to the pubs and dancing houses and spend the entire night there in drunken debauchery. And in this drunken debauchery, he would come back drunk in the morning, and he had this lifestyle and he couldn't help it. Eknath, his father-in-law, said, okay, listen, you do, because Eknath understood कि ये संस्कार ऐसे बोलने से नहीं करते हैं कि अच्छा कल से आप छोड़ दो, कल से आप क्रोध छोड़ दो. I can't even leave my anger in one day. चाहे जितने शास्त्र मुझे बोले. Eknath was very wise. He said, एक काम करो मोहन, जब भी तुम रात को निकलो after dinner for your pubs and your dancing houses, एक काम सिर्फ करके निकलो. And it's a small thing I am asking of you for the whole year. He said, अच्छा. He said, see, your wife stays home after dinner, and what you do is, you are a learned man. Mohan actually was a learned man. He said, you read one part of the scripture, just one shlok from Bhagavad Gita, explain it to her nicely, and just leave. Go to your drunken debauchery. I won't say, एक साल के लिए तुम ये छोटा काम कर सकते हो. So Mohan didn't know this was for him or for his wife or for what. He said, okay, it's not a big demand and I'm allowed to do what I want. So he did that for a year. And at the end of it, his wife knew all about the Gita Gyan of ज्ञान योग, of ध्यान योग, of कर्म योग, of भक्ति योग, ये सब उसको ज्ञान होने लगा. And the wife was okay with it. But see the hidden result. And the answer to the mystery is not hard to find. The hidden result, I'm sure you have guessed by now. At the end of it, Eknath himself began to transform and he said, आज नहीं जाते, चलो आज इसके बारे में बात करते हैं. कृष्ण भगवान ने क्या कहा था उसमें भक्ति के बारे में, चलो ये और आगे बढ़. After a year or more than that, he started staying home a little more and then a little more, and then he was totally uninterested in actually going out to the noisy revelry of the drunken parties. What happened? Actually, what happened? How did the sanskar change? And it's a slow change. The answer is not far to find. The answer is that Eknath simply offered him the gifts of satsang. थोड़ा सा सत्संग जोड़ लो अपनी लाइफ में. Over a period of time, it will become new sanskar. थोड़ा सा the wife began to give satvik ahar. The condition was you will not eat out. You have your dinner with your wife and then you leave. He said, okay. आहार घर का सात्विक मिलता था. And थोड़ा सा नित्य स्वाध्याय, every day one shlok. He said, अच्छा, demand is not much. But nitya swadhyay, it was the secret was not in swadhyay. The secret was in nitya, regular, daily. That was the secret. Nitya swadhyay थोड़ा सा जोड़ दिया उसकी लाइफ में, सात्विक आहार जोड़ दिया. A non-demanding wife who would not complain and throw a tantrum and create more conflict and anger and reaction कि अब तो मैं जाऊंगा ही, तुमने मना किया है. Eknath was a wise man. He created peace in the house. In that peace, there was satsang and there was nitya swadhyay. And because he was doing nitya swadhyay every day on a regular basis, there was space and time for manan, reflection. Moment manan or reflection comes into my life कि अरे मैं छुटकारा पा रहा हूँ कि मैं और कर्म का संग्रह कर रहा हूँ. संग्रह means accumulation. कर्म संग्रह मैं कर रहा हूँ. I am burdening myself कि क्या हो रहा है. Moment some questions begin to creep into the mind with the help of satsang and swadhyay, of course. Little bit of help is needed. Then the person begins to loosen his grip on the sansari desires, which have been pushing him because of sanskar. Sanskar has pushed him and said, I couldn't help it. ठीक है. Eknath was very compassionate. So is Krishna. Krishna is not saying तुम एक दिन में कर दो. You think about it. So that reflection, that quality of reflection and questioning comes by oneself. And that was small bits of swadhyay, satsang, satvik ahar, satvik life, mananam, reflection added to the life of Mohan. And Mohan's life began to transform from within, by himself, of his own volition, not by force. Can anything be done by force? Can Krishna just tell Arjun, I am commanding you, go into action? But that will not end his sorrow. It will just make him do something. It will not end his sorrow. Therefore, knowledge, Krishna took so long, so compassionately, and so much in detail to first end the very root of sorrow and confusion before sending him out to action. And out to action means our work in sansar. हम भी इस बैटल ग्राउंड में संसार में जुटे हुए हैं. अब हम इस संसार में जब जा रहे हैं, let us go out next time equipped with the words of Krishna, knowing that attachment is causing us, and finally I want my freedom. No one in the world, no one that I am reacting to in the world, not even my spouse or my dearest ones, is going to be able to support me in my own freedom. Even if they want to. Most of the time they don't want to, because all our relationships are based on give and take, or want or desire fulfillment. So most people even don't want your udhar or moksha. Whoever says, मुझे तुम्हारे लिए मोक्ष चाहिए, except your guru. If you have a guru who has accepted you or who has given diksha, that guru is the only one who will say, आपने आज साधना की, आपकी साधना कैसे चल रही है. He will never ask कि मकान का किस्त EMI पे कर दिया, एंड स्टॉक में आपने कितना इन्वेस्ट किया, और बच्चे कैसे हैं, Why he is not bothered about this? He is bothered about मोक्ष की ओर तुम चल रहे हो कि नहीं. Apart from Guru, no one will ask. If no one is asking me, I have to at least ask myself ना every day कि मैं मोक्ष की तरफ चल रहा हूँ कि संसार की तरफ चल रहा हूँ. उसके लिए I have to take these steps. So if I don't have a good father-in-law like Eknath to help me, I still have the scriptures to break the vicious cycle of sanskar. Bhagwan in his compassion then explains later on, verse 13 onwards, that in general, examine yourself more closely to dissect what is it that is making you do these actions. Outer actions, inner action. Now we know sanskar is compelling from inside, and outward, what are our instruments of action? That we will see next time. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om Shri Krishna Arpanamastu. Shri Gurubhyo Shri Gurubhyo Shri Gurubhyo.